Damn, Thug done beat a Rico and came out lame as hell. Young Thug's run since getting out, showing DJ Khaled barely being able to play basketball. Ever since Thug got out of jail, showing a picture that says, when you find out your goat is washed. After Young Thug came home after the YSL RICO, fans expected him to make a grand return, a first day out single, an album, a tour, and even reunite everyone's favourite artists again. But it has been far from that. He dropped a single which fans laughed at for being incredibly boring, repeatedly calling Gunna a rat even though Thug also took a plea deal, signing upcoming Atlanta artist 9 Victims who has disturbing allegations against him, and most recently even labeling Kid Cudi as a rat for testifying against Diddy. It's been a complete mess for Thug ever since he got out, and with him planning to drop his album next month, it's not looking too great for him. So let's bring it all the way back to the May of 2022, pretty much 3 years ago from now. Young Thug, Gunna, and 28 other YSL associates were charged in a 56-count Georgia RICO. Now of course, everyone was devastated. Thug is seen as an Atlanta legend, not only putting out hits and albums people loved, but also being seen as an inspiration to multiple generations of artists, whether it be the likes of Uzi, Carti, and Lil Baby claiming they all look up to Thug, or even this new generation with the likes of Yeep, Ken Carson, and Sofago. And the thing with Thug's career at that point in time was, even though he was already deep into the game, numbers wise he was just entering his peak. In 2019 he achieved his first #1 album with So Much Fun, selling 131,000 units in its first week, followed up by Slime Language 2 and Punk in the following years, which also landed at the #1 position in the Billboard 200 albums chart, which completely outperformed anything he put out in the past. Before So Much Fun, Thug had never cracked a top spot or 6-figure openings. So as Thug was incarcerated, he was scorching hot, with fans expecting this RICO to make even more buzz around his name, allowing him to come home greater and bigger than ever. If he gets out and drop an album, I can honestly see him selling 200k easy. Man, the first day out track alone would break the internet. I mean, we've seen it before. When a rapper gets locked up and then eventually freed, it creates this huge anticipation as fans haven't heard anything from them in such a long time. And not only did the actual arrest of Thug and Gunna have mainstream attention, but also all the events surrounding the trial. Truly humble under God, Thug's music being played in the courtroom, Gunna supposedly snitching, Lil Woody's theatrics on the stand, it was like some sort of TV show. And I mean, his labels even dropping his music throughout his time away, singles with the likes of Yeet, Calvin Harris, and Mariah the Scientist, even dropping an entire Metro Boomin curated album, Business Business. However, none of these had that real hype or feeling, as it wasn't actually Thug dropping the music, it was people behind the scenes. And now let's move on to Young Thug's release from jail, because this is where the real controversy starts. So Thug would end up getting 15 years of probation, which many saw as a success. He is able to go straight home after facing life in prison. However, his parole had some terms that may affect how he would go about his career. No Metro Atlanta for 10 years, no contact with anyone he knows to be in a criminal street gang or with any co-defendant, except his brother and Gunna for contractual music business, cannot promote a gang on social media, no use of gang hand signs, lingo or symbolism, 0 guns within arm's reach of him, random drug screens. So that's just some of them, ones that I think would impact his career the most, because we all know a large portion of Thug's image is guns, drugs and street activity. So with Thug literally being banned from associating himself with that, everyone thought he was going to be sent straight back to jail for violating his parole, with fans suggesting he's going to have to do a career makeover. He better start making gospel music. But most people weren't really concerned about that yet, they were just happy that the legend was home. However, his return didn't go as fans expected, as days passed after his release on the 31st of October in 2024, and fans got nothing. Some were arguing to relax, as he has just spent 2 years in a cell by himself. He probably just wants to spend some time with his family and enjoy his freedom. But then came something that severely concerned fans, as on the 3rd of November, Thug would tweet, "Let's drop one of these rats, Peter," which is obviously quite stupid, as this is the kind of vague, aggressive language that could easily be interpreted as a violation of his probation terms. Here he is basically saying he wants to put a snitch to sleep, presumably targeting this at Gunna. Now, whilst Thug thought he was looking cool tweeting out threats like this, well, fans began literally clowning him for putting out stuff like this, when he could be called back to carry out a 15-year sentence for violating his parole terms. This fella doesn't like being free. Bro ain't making it that 15 years with his energy. And he would only continue to make it worse for himself, as just a week later he would tweet, "Gunna, stop acting like we friends on the internet, I don't know you my guy," which is of course directed at his YSL signee, who he is no longer on good terms with as he allegedly snitched on Thug and his label after taking an altered plea deal in which he admitted YSL is a gang and needs to end. Now, fans argue whether he snitched or he didn't, but it's clear Thug and his people don't mess with him anymore. But that's not even the problem here, it's the fact he continues to put out tweets which don't look too great in court. He would end up saying he was hacked as more tweets were sent out, with one of them even trolling the state, saying he's in Metro Atlanta, but that may have just been a terrible excuse he came up with. But apart from playing with his freedom and even having girlfriend issues, Thug was not releasing any music. Well, that was until the 3rd of January in 2025, as Thug would feature on Lil Baby's album Wham on the song Dumb Dumb and Dumber alongside Future, which at first had insane hype, as of course it was the first official Thug verse since his arrest all the way back in 2022. And I mean, the song was hard, however people also felt the song was boring and generic. Kinda mid, feel like I'm being gaslit by all the hype. I feel like this is just a typical song like Thug and Future do well, but it just feels run of the mill. And I mean, I think we can understand what people are saying, like sure it's hard but also pretty similar to what we've gotten before, which, you know, is not a bad thing, but it was supposed to be this big moment, Thug first verse since his arrest, but it just didn't end up having that feel it was supposed to. Well, it would be after this that Thug would begin rolling out his next album, UY Scuti. Metro putting out tweets stating he's working on the next album, Thug announcing his first show since his release, plastering UY Scuti on social media, with Future also showing support, and with him also featuring on Playboi Carti's music album, even though it was originally a 2021 verse from a song Thug recorded with Gunna, it still gave Thug that hype he needed, and it seemed like he was properly rebuilding his hype and gearing up to drop his first official album since his arrest in 2022. However, he would actually end up making things worse for himself, as on Twitter, Young Thug would call out Marissa Viverito, an investigator with the Atlanta Police Department, calling her the biggest liar in the DA office, whilst attaching a picture of her, which backfired immediately, as District Attorney Fannie Willis filed a motion claiming Thug has engaged in conduct that directly threatens the safety of witnesses and prosecutors, compromises ongoing legal proceedings, and warrants immediate revocation of probation. As after he put out the tweet, people online started leaking her address, personal information, and even made threats against her. So basically, they want Thug back in jail due to this tweet. Now of course, Thug is not responsible for the action of other people, so the judge would deny the request as his own tweet wasn't anything bad. However, it was definitely on the riskier side, with the judge even suggesting Thug to be careful with what he says about certain topics. While the court does not find that the cited social media post rises to the level of a violation, it may be prudent for Williams to exercise restraint regarding certain topics, with Thug himself ending off the situation by saying in a tweet he's a good person. "I don't make threats to people, I'm a good person. I would never condone any threatening anyone or definitely participate in threatening anyone. I'm all about peace and love." Now look, I just don't know why he's playing with freedom like this. Just a couple months ago he was fighting a case that could have got him life in prison, got out on time served with probation, and now he's risking his freedom again. I just don't understand it, with fans of course having the same opinion about this just like they had with his previous tweets. Stop doing this or you'll go back to prison or jail. But not only were fans annoyed at Thug for not dropping music and risking his freedom, but for his newest YSL label signee. The YSL label has been around since around 2016. However, hasn't had many successful artists apart from Gunna. He had Lil Keed, but unfortunately passed away, and even someone like Young KO had potential but just didn't drop for a very long time. So now without Gunna or Lil Keed, Thug needed some new proteges, which led to him signing 1300 Sane and then the very controversial 9 Vicious, who some people call 9 Victims. Born in 2002, the Atlanta native faced allegations of contacting minors. I'm prob waiting till you're 18 to do that. Don't ever post again looking that good. I love you. Come over. Oh, your age? Yes, I forgot, but I'll still talk to you and be your friend. These are the messages 9 Vicious sent to a 16-year-old whilst he was 19. Now, even though a 3-year age gap isn't the same as a 30-year-old man trying to meet a literal kid he met through Roblox, it's still not morally right, especially with him even admitting he will wait till she's 18. And also, this is America, so it is illegal for people of those ages to, and it continued to get worse for him. Well, he made it worse himself, as his response to these allegations, bruh, and a bunch of sub emojis. Anyways, show finna be crazy. But that's not it, as later in a song from his project, Tumblr Music, he would say, I know I effed up, I admit it, I was horny, which is a terrible response to allegations that could be career ending. And with Thug then publicly co-signing him in a tweet where he wrote his lyrics, fans would be pretty disappointed. Worst thing you've ever done. So we're just letting the group shit go, Thug? Yeah, you gotta go back to jail, man. Now, some people may use the excuse that Thug didn't know, but I'm pretty sure he definitely does, as he retweets and responds to fans often, so he definitely reads his replies. So yeah, of course, this is not a great look for Thug. It obviously won't really change people's opinion of him, but definitely still quite odd. But this is also rap, where you can pretty much get away with anything as long as people like your music, because 9 Vicious is still having a great career, considering how long he's been out for. I mean, I don't think he even has like 300,000 monthly listeners, and he's already signed to Young Thug. Anyways, after all that drama, 6 months since his release from jail, Thug would drop his first single out, Money on Money featuring Future, where fans were hoping for a fire single to set off the album rollout, but fans were sort of disappointed. It's not that the song was bad, but underwhelming. I love Thug, but am I the only one that thinks this is underwhelming? I don't know, let's wait till the album. These geezers need to try something new, holy F, what a snooze. When is this sound gonna die for the love of God? And not only did people think the song was boring, but fans were annoyed Thug was once again sending shots at Gunna on this track. These F fellas telling for nothing, and I gotta be the one calling them friends. With Thug's influence, you would expect fans to be siding with him. However, if you check the replies, everyone's actually defending Gunna. He didn't tell. Chill on Gunna, not gonna lie, you'll both be the system, just squash it now. Gunna took a plea deal, Buddy over here called him a rat. Just for him also to take a plea deal. Thug must have wanted to be the first fella to get that plea bargain. And I feel like the big reason of why fans are siding with Gunna is because since he was released, he's been on fire. He had FU Mean, which peaked at a number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, a huge hit, then many hit songs from his second album after his release, One of One, such as One of One, On One Tonight, and Hakuna Matata. Now, even though some people are now clowning Gunna for putting out Get Ready With Me music, Instagram Reels music, it's working, whereas Thug's run has been a bit shaky. Anyways, back to Thug, it seemed like fans were getting tired, and unfortunately, he would continue with his stupid antics. On the 22nd of May, artist Kid Cudi would be subpoenaed to testify against Diddy about an alleged Molotov cocktail attack he carried out on his Porsche. Well, this is where Thug would step in and tweet, "Damn, Cudi a rat," which honestly felt like a breaking point for people on social media, because Thug got absolutely cooked for this. Young Thug almost 40 and still got the mindset of a child. Damn, Thug done beat a RICO and came out lame as hell. I'm telling you, son, we gotta start acknowledging the fact some fellas just on earth to hold black people back. I mean, there's a lot to break down about this situation. Firstly, well, Cudi isn't a street dude and has never acted like one. And second of all, he was subpoenaed, meaning he was called up to court and legally had to turn up to testify. Otherwise, they would have thrown him in jail. So with everything that we have covered so far, I think we can easily say most people are disappointed with Young Thug since his release from jail. You know, it was such a big moment. The legendary rapper facing life imprisonment got off on probation and is ready to make the craziest return to the rap game, just for him to give a feature to Lil Baby, a 2021 verse on a Cudi album, drop a generic song with Future, and put out stupid tweets. It's just disappointing. Personally, I thought the first day Thug got released, he was going to drop some crazy song which was going to go viral. Now I understand why he didn't. He's just been locked away for 2 years. He probably just wants to rest and see his family. And of course with his parole terms, he has to be careful with what he says. So I get that. But it's been like 6 months now, and to be fair, he's about to drop his album UY Scuti, which was actually supposed to drop in May but got pushed back, with some fans even believing it got pushed back because no one really cared about it.
UY Scuti, his return album, his first album since coming home from jail, you know, that album that everyone was hyping up before it even existed, was supposed to come out this Friday. I bet some of you watching this video didn't know that. Nobody was talking about it. It wasn't a big deal. Everyone was acting like they didn't care. It just wasn't talked about because it felt like people didn't care. Now, Young Thug has pushed the album back to June, and I think that that is actually part of the reason as to why it's been pushed back.
And even though his album's not even released yet, it was already under attack after it was confirmed that 21 Savage was featuring on the project, which just had many fans thinking, oh great, another generic trap album with features from the same artists, Lil Baby, Future, and 21 Savage, which again isn't a terrible thing, but you know, with Thug, people were hoping for something experimental and out of the norm. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for Thug's album? Personally, I'll check it out. I'm not like a crazy Young Thug fan. He's a bit before my time. Like, I've listened to his albums. I probably have like 20 or 30 songs liked by him on Spotify, but I'm not an avid fan of him compared to someone like Uzi or Cudi. But again, that's due to my age. But another issue I think there is with Young Thug is like there's a lot of people who like the idea of Young Thug or just follow the hype of Thug because they know he's a respected figure, but only a minority of those people actually check out his music, if that makes sense. Like, everyone knows he's a super influential dude, so they just kind of have to like and respect him. I think just one of those situations where Thug's influence, name, and image is just bigger than his actual music. Like, he's still a huge artist that, you know, that can pull crazy numbers, but maybe just not as big as we think, because if we look at his album sales, he's never really reached the heights of someone like Lil Baby, Cudi, Uzi. He's, you know, his highest selling album is 130,000. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. What do you think of Thug's run since he was released, and will you be checking out his album? And I even saw fans compare Young Boy's release from jail and how he did it pretty much perfectly, and it's what Thug should have done. Young Boy announced a huge nationwide arena tour, dropped a bunch of songs including features from Ye and Cudi, obviously creating insane buzz around his name. Like, I don't even listen to Young Boy, but after I heard Alive with Cudi and Ye, I checked out the other stuff he put out recently. I mean, Thug might do the same too. Maybe his album will be crazy, loads of hits, goes on a tour and takes over the game. We'll have to wait and see. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment, have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.